Thank you all for tuning in.
The following is a presentation of Bald Spots Productions.
Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch III, coming to you live from the palatial home studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Malden, Missouri. I have to remember that because I just moved. So no longer doing the same old location. And I guess city might be a little overthinking it because there are all of 1,600 people in Malden, which is definitely different from the 300,000 that I was used to in Santa Ana. But joining me from a more than acceptable safe social distance are my guests for today, Sally Gimon. Am I saying that right, Sally?
Gimon.
And Dr. Cleet Bulach. Bulach?
Right.
Cleet. As long as they don't call you late for dinner, right?
Yeah.
And we're here for another episode of Not Quite After Midnight, and the roundtable version. So we'll be talking. We'll be having a good conversation here. And let's see, Sally, you are a financial advisor. Is that accurate?
I'm a real estate investor, and I found out a way on how to save federal taxes. So
okay,
I'm not a true financial advisor, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, so kind of a tax consultant.
Yes, but I'm not a CPA. So,
but not a
hey,
CPA,
guess what?
right? And
Yes.
not an enrolled agent.
I enjoy real estate and crypto, and if I can save money, I think everybody else. If I know how to save money, everybody else should know how to save money too.
Awesome. And Cleet, you were a school superintendent and a CEO, if I remember what I read correctly.
Correct.
Yeah. So sounds like we got some financial heads. Sounds like we've got some financial heads clinking together here today. It's funny how that works out. I don't arrange the guests. They arrange themselves, and so usually it means we have quite a bit of fun. But so let's start, ladies first, since you're taking a big drink.
There's something I'm allergic to right now. I just moved to North Carolina a year ago, and spring brings out allergies, so I have to apologize.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'm starting to find that here in Missouri too.
Yeah, allergies there got me too.
Yeah,
in Georgia.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Georgia, Cleet?
Oh, just west of Atlanta, next to the Alabama little town called Villa Rica. And,
okay, my sister and her husband live in Rome.
Yeah,
I think So so not too far.
Up there, one of the extension colleges up there at Rome.
Okay.
I know right where it is. Spent many a day up there.
Yeah, and then
nice.
Sally. Oh, sorry.
I'm just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm closer to the South Carolina border than I am to Charlotte, a small town called Waxhaw.
Waxhaw. Okay.
You have to say it with a smile.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way.
Vacation towns when I was in the military, we'd go once a month and spend all our money there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When I was stationed in North Carolina, we'd go to Charlotte.
Charlotte's, I would say, is like a little town. I came from Phoenix, which was a huge metropolitan, but I like Charlotte, and I forgot how much I love spring here. The green, I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a good bit of that too. When we first got here, we got the rain. But it's been dry over the course of the last week. So, but yeah, it's interesting being in the Southeast as opposed to the Southwest.
I love Phoenix. I'm a native of Phoenix. You can't
Hmm.
have 50,000 people moving a month to Maricopa County and not figure out what you're going to do with water. It's a little bit of a scary scenario.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, for
my
sure.
first my first experience with Missouri was at Fort Leonard Wood, January
Okay.
1957, and it was cold and rainy and miserable for 3 months there. Uh, so anyway, I'm
Yeah,
aware.
yeah. My brother went to Fort Lost in the Woods. I mean Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah, lost in the woods. I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember coming out here. It was so funny. We were living in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and we drove up to Fort Leonard Wood to see my brother graduate. And there was a rainstorm that literally stripped the paint off of my pickup truck.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that was something else. And yeah, thankfully the GM paid for repainting it, so I didn't have to worry about that.
That's where you need insurance. Exactly.
Yep. But yeah, so let's see. So Sally, take us through what it is you do for your clients.
Thank you. A little bit of history, if you don't mind. My parents
Sure.
drove from Goodyear, Arizona, which is 20 miles west of Phoenix, back in 2018. My mom got sick. She got septic of the blood. She was on a ventilator for 13 months,
Mm.
in a hospital for 15 months, but got out okay. She came home. That's the most important thing. I
Hmm.
became a real estate investor, doing very well. And in July of 2020, I took down the deal of the week, a $20,000 bank-owned reverse mortgage house in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, that was going to
Hmm.
go to auction for $50,000. Woohoo! I'm going to make $30,000 spread on that. But it's the middle of COVID, and I had to wait 13 months. In
Wow.
my real estate group, Garrett Gunderson wrote a book called What the Rockefellers Do. He had to change the title to What Billionaires Do, but it's about the Rockefellers Trust that is 7 generations old and has over 400 people in it. I went
Wow.
through every reference he had in the book and researched it, and I found the law firm that offers the trust, the spendthrift trust, that is not your mom and dad's trust, but it defers taxes, keeps your information private, and keeps you from being sued, or not sued, keeps you from paying a judgment if you're sued. Because
Mm.
of that trust, I became a client. When my auction house, I bought in July, it went July 2020, it went to auction August 28th, 2021, and it went for $64,000. I made a $44,000 spread between it, but I got to save over $10,500 in capital gains. And I love it, and I want to teach other people how to do
Wow.
this because, no offense, Dr. Cleet, nobody teaches this in school. Nobody teaches this in college. I mean,
Hmm.
I went down the rabbit hole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've had some experience with public auctions just last week.
Oh, excellent. What'd you get?
Well, I own a rental property, and the lots on either side have been up for auction. One lot was been up for auction now 18 years, and every year nobody bids on it. And I thought, well, heck, I'm gonna buy that lot at the auction. So the taxes on the lot ended up being over $3,000, and I thought, oh, I don't want to pay that. I'll just I'll make a bid of $500 on it, and they wouldn't accept the bid. So on the same thing on the other lot, I put a bid of 500. They wouldn't accept it. I had to pay the taxes, and I says, well, I don't want to pay the taxes on it, but nobody else does either. That's why nobody wants to buy the lot, and it's been
Hmm.
sitting in your county for since 2005. Do you want to sell the lot or don't you? Well, you got to pay the taxes. No, I don't want it. So
Right.
I'm trying to get that lot I'm trying to work with the treasurer to get the lot, and so far I'm not getting anywhere. If you got any advice, I'd like to hear it.
It's going to be on the. I don't know about. You're in Georgia. I know North Carolina rule. The person you need to talk to in North Carolina is the clerk of the court. I don't know who it would be in Georgia, so I don't want to give you any
Oh,
advice on that.
not the tax treasurer.
The tax treasurer is usually within the clerk of the court, but yeah, exactly. Because the reason they're doing the taxes is to pay for the police officers and the firefighters and things like that. Here in North Carolina, crazy state, 101 counties, they do an auction. You think you won the house, but you haven't. Depending on the county, it's either 10 business days or 10 calendar days. This is how I do my real estate. This is why I moved to North Carolina from Arizona, because there
Well,
was tax
in
liens.
Georgia, it's a year. You got to wait a
Okay.
year before you can do anything with the property. Give the previous owner the right to. That's just the way
Rescission.
it
Correct.
works. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, the clerk of courts is different from the treasurer. Then
Every state's a little bit different. I'm going to be honest with you on that. So that's why I don't want to give you any advice.
Well, I will write down here clerk of courts and see what I do with that. It's just weird. I mean, you know, I talked to the commissioner and I said, "Why this property hasn't sold since 2005? Why do you keep putting it on when nobody bids on it? Why don't you want to get rid of it and collect some
They want the
tax?"
money. They want to pay their police
Yeah.
and firefighters. Yep.
It's crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was my experience. So, well, my hat's off to you. Your background's totally different from mine. I'm just a neophyte in that territory.
Well, I was working as an insurance agent for over 20 years, and one of the things I was working as was a Medicare broker for the last 18 months, and people are miserable when they're turning 65. They're broke. So I was doing real estate on the side, and true story, it was open enrollment. The woman was turning 65. We were on a special call campaign in Texas. I talked to her for an hour, gave her all the information. She called me back 3 weeks later. She goes, "Oh, I changed my address." So I'm updating her, on the computer. She moved 4 miles over the border to New Mexico. Everything changed. I got fired because the lady moved 4 miles over to New Mexico. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm done. I'm not working hourly income anymore. I'm going to be my own boss after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great for you. Well, I'm 84.
Oh, wow. You look good for 84. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's what I say. I never expected to get this far, but so far, I'm looking forward to another 10 anyway.
I wish you well on that. My dad had a whole joke that he was going to live to be 150 and haunt us if he didn't. So, yeah, we have a joke about that.
My grandmother lived to the ripe old age of 93, as did my mother's father. My mom's father and my dad's mother both lived to 93, and both healthy as horses up until they were done. You know, my grandfather, according to my uncle, my grandfather's final breath was a laugh. So can't beat that.
I wonder where they got that expression, ripe old, because I don't want to be ripe when I die. I just want to die.
My grandfather died in bed, which I thought was lovely, and my mom, I think she came home for a few weeks, and she picked up her wine glass, said to my dad, "Here's the 57 years of being married." Took a drink of wine, put the glass down, and she passed away. I'm like, she loves wine. Perfect way to go. Her last thing. So,
Yeah.
so if you don't mind asking, Dr. Buckley, what kind of business did you do? You were CEO of what?
Well, I have a consulting agency that I work with schools around the world on bullying behavior, on character education, character behavior, basically leadership, school culture, and climate. My mantra is you must collect data in order to find out where you are, because if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going to go. And you must do pre and post collection of data. So I provide a data collection services. I have a number of surveys I've developed that measure character behavior on 26 character traits. I measure bullying behavior in schools. I measure school culture and climate in schools. I measure levels of openness and trust between the leader and the followers.
Hmm.
And you can I measure openness and trust within a group. Let's see. I think that's about it. Those are those are the surveys that I provide. People with doctoral dissertations use my surveys to get their doctorate degrees, and I help them with that.
Hmm.
So,
Excellent. My brother is a former Secret Service agent, and one of his jobs was to interview school shooters. And every single school shooter, unfortunately, was bullied. And he's just like, I was taller than my older brother's 2 years ahead of me in school, and I was taller than he was up until I was 14 years old. And yeah, I mean, I got bullied, but I don't know how you turn into such a go after somebody else. That's just so wrong, if that makes sense.
well, I've done a lot. You can get on YouTube and look up my name, and you'll see that I've done a lot of talks on bullies and shooters. Um, and you're right. People who've been bullied oftentimes end up being shooters, because one of the things I discovered back in 2002, I got the job of being the lowest bidder on a contract to evaluate every school district in the state of West Virginia on their character education program, which was mandated that year. They wanted to know what was being done. And when I interviewed thousands of teachers and students in every school district in the state, I found out that one of the biggest problems in every school was human relations, particularly related to the needs of people. And I identified 5 basic needs that all people have, that you have, Sally, and that Bill has, and I have, and particularly shooters have. And when those needs are not being met, a human being has to do something to get them met. So let's take the typical shooter who has been bullied, okay, at some point in their lives. And of course, I was bullied, because when I graduated from high school, you talked about how tall you were. I was 5'4" and weighed 125 pounds.
I'm the opposite way. I'm 5'11", so yes.
I was the littlest kid in school, and everybody could bully me, but it made me tough instead. But anyway, the bully has a need for control is one. That's number one. That's the basic need, not only with the bully, but it's the basic need in everyone. Just look at what's happening in Congress right now. Look at what's happening with Putin. Look at what's happening with Trump and everybody else. It's all about control. And it goes all the way back to a guy named Epictetus, back before Christ was born. He philosophized that control was the most important thing that made people tick. That's why they did what they did, to gain control. So a bully he gains control by the victim. The victim has no control. Okay, so the victim of the bully is the one who's at risk here. So they have no control. The second need is they have to have moments of happiness in their life. If they have none, that's the second need. And then the third one is feelings of anxiety, stress, and fear. And at the extreme, on a 1 on that, the fear is death. And all the way to the other side, where you don't have it, or you can look at it, 10 is death, whichever way you want to look at that. But if you have that, no happiness, your fear, and no control, and then you have purpose as the fourth need. If you have no purpose, I ask kid, why do you go to school? Oh, I don't like it. You don't have any reason to go to school? No, I don't. I have to go. That's the only reason I go. So many kids don't have a purpose, but the victim, when you're being bullied, you don't have any purpose, because you fear going to school. You don't, and then nobody cares about you is another need. And if you have all of that, fear, happiness, control, caring, and purpose, what are you going to do? So the options are suicide is one. The second one is join a gang. A gang gives you control. People who care about you. And in everyday life, a lot of people join cults to get away from that. So they allow that leader to control them. Like that Jim Jones thing. They are absolutely controlled by the leader of the Latter-day Saints. They're in control of the leader, and they accept it because they need that feeling of control, but it's by someone else. And this caring thing, if you wake up one morning, and I theorize that Jackson and Elvis Presley and these movie stars that commit suicide when they're all these famous people, they end up one day, nobody cares about me. They only care about my money. And they, life just, anyway, shooters, when they grab that gun, they have control. They're going to show they have a purpose. They are going to take control of their life, and they really don't care about their life, and they know they're going to die, so that they just go through with it. And that's what happens to many shooters. But anyway, when you talked about what you did in high school, that reminded me of that.
Well, my older brother doesn't remember this, but my younger brother remembers this. When my mom potty trained us, in the morning, you get up, do your business, and you wash your hands. I still say this every morning. I love you, Sally. So someone has said that to me. And I teach that to as many people as possible. It's such a small thing to do, but it really works. It makes your day so much better. So
that's true.
I think self-love is a lot of people don't know how to love themselves, unfortunately.
You just reminded me of something I saw on Facebook yesterday. It was someone who said criticism is one of the worst things you can do to someone, because when you criticize someone, you don't show them that you love them. You show them that they don't love themselves. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, wow, so what's the difference between criticism and discipline? Is a parent who disciplines a child criticizing them? Yeah. But what's the difference? And that's an interesting thought that went through my head. When you discipline a kid, you do it because you care about the kid, but the kid doesn't know that. So I wrote on Facebook, when you discipline someone, you tell the kid, I love you. There's nothing that you do that will stop me from loving you, but your behavior I cannot stand. Your behavior has to change. So that's what I'm criticizing you about. I'm criticizing your behavior, not you. So I want you to know that I love you, but this is the behavior that I can't stand. You think you can change that? Because when you do this, you hurt me. Do you want to hurt me? And of course, what's the kid going to say? No, I don't want to hurt you, Mom or Dad. I don't want to hurt you. Oh, I knew that. Well, tell me what behavior I'm asking you to change. So you get the kid to tell you that, well, you told me that you don't want me to do this. That's right. Do you think you can stop that? I'm going to try, Dad. Oh, that's right, son. Oh, I love you. Thank you. That's a different way of showing that you love the kid and you care for them, but most parents don't think about that. They just criticize the kid.
Well, I think people only learn from what they know. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
I do what's called a promise and a get for. Like for me, for my business, I promised I would get 50 new business brokers in a week, but my go for is 100. So first week of May, I got 102. So you have to keep changing your goalposts, if that makes sense, because it's up to you. It's up to each individual to change their life and make it better, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, let me share with you something else that I've realized through all those interviews. basically, Connie, what you do is you want to motivate people to improve their financial environment, to work with you on your finances and so forth, right?
I
Okay.
want people don't realize the IRS tax code only was put in place in 1913. The trust is contract law in the IRS tax code, and it's older than the United States. So people are like, "This sounds so fake," and I'm like, "It's not. It's really out there." U.S. presidents and the Rockefellers have this trust, and I don't mean to say this rudely, but the poor have a safety net. The rich know things, and it's the middle class that are getting squeezed in between. And I want to help as many people in the middle class learn this information because it's not taught in schools, it's not taught in universities. It's a well-kept secret.
So you're sharing your expertise and your information, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's two forms of power. Did you know there are 9 forms of power that are used by people like you, by Bill, by myself, by parents all over everybody out there, Trump, Putin, everybody out there is using those forms of power, and many of them don't know what they are.
I'm sorry, collar, COLLAR?
Power, POWER.
Power. Okay, sorry.
When you want to control or motivate someone, you have to use a form of power. And when you use information, you're using that as power. When you tell them what you've done, you're using your expertise. And when you use power, expertise and information, those are 2 forms of power. They're called freeing forms of power because when people hear it or see it, they're free to do it. They say, "Oh yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to do that." Right? Okay, that's 2. Well, there are 3 other freeing forms of power. One is your personality, and you're a nice looking young lady, and you've got a good way of interacting with people. And they say, "Yeah, she's kind of, I like her." And they do it because you have this relationship with your clients, right? So you're using the 3rd form of power. Okay. The 4th form of power is what they call moral power. And you use that too, unknowingly, because you convince people, you talk to people about what is the right thing to do, don't you?
People don't think it's legal, and I'm like, it's been in front of the Supreme Court twice. It's in the correct. I'm trying to teach them it is legal.
So
Yes.
you go to the law and you tell them what the right thing to do is.
Correct.
So that's what moral power is too. It's legal power is moral power. It's the right thing to do. What is the right thing to do is moral power. I don't know if you do this one or not, but the 5th one, the freeing one, is, do you ever stroke egos? Do you say,
Do I ever do what? I'm sorry?
stroke an ego? Do you ever say to people, you did such a wonderful job with that. You mind sharing that with some of my other clients?
I don't consciously do that, but maybe I do. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I'm sure you stroke egos here and there, don't you?
Oh yeah.
He's married. He has to. Sorry, I should say that.
No,
He's a master
no,
at it.
I am not married. I am not
Oh,
married.
sorry. I thought you said your family moved to the new
Oh,
towns.
no.
Well, those
No,
are
just
the
a friend
5
of mine.
freeing forms of power. You got information, expertise, personality, ego, and moral power. Those are the ways, the 5 forms of power you use to motivate people to do what you're asking them to do. And they are free to do it. Okay.
Exactly. That's my goal is to get information out there. I mean, if people decide to go forward, excellent. If people decide not to go forward, good luck. That's their decision.
Well, most
Right.
leaders use the same forms, but they also have a position. You don't have position power. You use the 5 freeing forms of power almost exclusively. I don't think you have position power over your clients, do you?
I don't know what position power is. I'm sorry.
Well, a parent has position power over their kids. As a school superintendent, because of my position, I had position power. A leader has position power. Trump had position power. Biden has it. All of the congressmen have anyone who's appointed to a position has position power, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
If you consider them leaders, I mean that's a
Yeah.
personal choice.
Well, once you get
Yeah.
position power, you acquire two other forms of power: the ability to reward and punish. A parent has position power, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
And they have the ability to punish their kids or reward them, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Now the fourth form of controlling power is called connection power. So you only get position power by being connected to somebody. The president of the United States is connected to all the citizens of the United States. They got there by voting. And that's how
Mhm.
they got their position power. And with that, they have connection power. Biden has lost his connection power with the populace. His
Right.
approval rates is down in the 30-some%. Trump's trying to
Yeah.
get it back. So in a marriage, the husband and wife, the connection power depends on whether the husband supports the wife. If they don't, the wife loses her position power. If the wife doesn't support the husband, he loses his position power, and the kids don't listen to the one that's lost. Because in any marriage, one or the other has greater power than the other. Someone in a marriage always, it should be an equal thing, but when push comes to shove, one person in the marriage usually has the edge.
Right.
When it's a critical decision, one person. Now, I used to tell my students and I tell my kids, here's the secret to a good marriage. You tell your wife, or the wife tells the husband, look, I'm the boss and you get what you want. Okay? Now that seems kind of crude, but who's the boss when you
It
get what
is.
you
Correct.
want? It's a 50-50 thing, really. You get what you want, then I'm the boss, but you get what you want. So I'm really not the boss. But anyway, but it sets the tone. So when the critical decision comes along, the one who says I'm the boss has the final say, and that's a good working relationship. But anyway, I don't know what are you thinking about what I just said?
And the hierarchy, correct, is hierarchy and how things work, and relationships shift a lot. So correct.
Yeah, yes, they do. When I was before I retired, uh, 20, 20 years ago, 20 some years ago, I was the boss and my wife got what she wanted. Now she's the boss because I'm underfoot 24/7. So the role has changed. And so I get what I want now, so I say, honey, this is what I want. And, it's strange, but the role has shifted in the marriage. In most marriages, when the person retires, the roles can shift. But I
It's
don't know.
and right now more people are retiring. They say
Yeah,
10,000 people a day are turning 65. It's a
yeah,
huge population shift.
yeah,
But I didn't realize millenniums are bigger than the baby boomers. They always talked about the baby boomers are changing everything. The
yeah,
millenniums have more people in that population now, which is
yeah.
interesting. It's going to be an interesting time to be alive here in the United States.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And the next election's going to be, whew,
Well,
It's
like
gonna be
I was
hot.
the last graduating class of they shut my elementary school and shut my high school, and I'm going to age myself, but in 1984, Ronald Reagan's economic advisor came to talk to my high school. It was only sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and
Mhm.
I already knew what school I was going to, and he said, if things don't change, you won't have Social Security when you turn 65. That's always
Mhm.
been in the back of my mind, and that's one of the reasons I became a real estate investor, because I don't want to depend on things. I want
Right.
to be independent, if that makes sense.
yeah, real estate. I've been a real estate investor too. And
Excellent.
thank goodness, because if I weren't, I wouldn't have. At one time, I bought a trailer park with no money down, and that's where I got my start.
Do you still
And
have it, or did you sell it?
I sold it and had bought rental property, and we got a condo on the beach at Gulf Shores, and that has been a great investment because what was in 2003, that has more than doubled at this point in time.
Excellent.
Real estate has been a godsend for us and my wife. That's been her job, just managing the properties. But yeah,
Just
if anyone's listening out there, you need to get into real estate because it's the only thing that I know where your money is safe.
well, the top 100 millionaires in the United States. They might not be like Jeff Bezos, might not be number one in real estate, but every billionaire in the United States has some form of real estate in their portfolio.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine that that's true. I don't know
Yeah.
where else you can put your money, and it almost always is going to end up being more than in the long run. There are periods when what you bought goes down. I know a number of people.
I lived in Phoenix for 22 years. Oh yeah, we're very cyclical there.
Yeah, in 2005, property was really high, and the condos where we lived that were selling for 500,000 dropped to 185.
Wow.
Within a matter of 1 year, and the ones who bought at 500,000 on mortgages. What is the one where each year it changes? I forget the name for it now.
Adjustable?
And in ARM. Yeah, those who bought ARMs at 500,000, 2 years later, they were in big trouble.
Well,
But
I don't mean to say this. The economy is very shaky. Here in North Carolina, they haven't done a foreclosure in 3.5 years. Not my county, just my zip code. My zip code here in North Carolina, there are 229 homes in pre-foreclosure, meaning they're behind.
Wow.
As soon as they get the letter to say foreclosure, they only have 90 days. 229 people in a small little zip code. It's kind of, how do I say this? It's kind of suburban. It's kind of rural. I mean, there's a farm literally 2 miles from my house. The economy, we're not in control of the economy, but we have to pay attention to what's happening. If we default June 1st on our bills, it's going to cause car rates to go up. I just heard the average car payment right now for a new car, $750.
Wow.
I mean, that's super expensive. I mean, who affords that?
Well, the other thing is rents now,
Yes.
What used to be $750 a month is now closer to $1,500.
Well,
I'm the mortgage. I do notes, so I'm the mortgage on the house because so many people can't afford to get a mortgage now, and they pay me instead. And that's interest income, and the trust takes care of that. So I'm saving money and making money at the same time.
So how do you do that? Go ahead, Bill.
Where we were in Southern California, the rent was about $1,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Where's Southern California? Orange County or
Orange County? Orange County. Yeah,
well,
and LA was in the 2000s.
Correct. Well, during COVID, just to give you an idea, I'm not trying to be political, but if you had a rental, like let's say I was your landlord, Bill, you stopped paying, I still had to pay for the water, the electricity, and the garbage pickup. So I have a lot of friends who had real estate in California and got almost bankrupt over it, unfortunately. Yep. Wow, how'd you get from California to Missouri?
My parents live here in Missouri. And,
did you grow up there or they moved there?
No, they moved there. They moved here. And so we decided it was a nice place, and it's definitely cheaper.
Than California? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of Californians moving into our neighborhood here. We got
Yeah.
We're in a gated community with about 3,000
Mm.
lots and homes and a golf course and pools and recreation center and tennis courts and all
Wow.
that stuff. So
Well,
they moved.
one of my clients, true story, he, kind of sad story. He sells weight loss supplies, the weight
Hmm.
loss things. He woke up one morning, he was making $40,000 a month, woke up one morning to go check the company he was with, completely shut down. All of a sudden, his business.
Wow.
So he was saying to me, he started up another business. He's got the business spendthrift trust that's going to save 70% on federal taxes. He wanted me to find something for him. A county called Anson County is about an hour from Charlotte, a very poor county. The only Walmart
Hmm.
there shut down January 1st after Christmas, and
Hmm.
there's nothing else. Doing what I do, we found an upset bid. The house was less than $4,000, 3 bedroom, 1 brick house on 16 acres. He and his wife are moving down here. They're going to split the acres into quarter lots. And like you were
Hmm.
saying, they're going to put a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house on each of the quarter lots that can have a wheelchair and be completely handicap accessible because
Hmm.
there are more senior citizens doing. And so he wants to get the spendthrift trust. And I'm like, you don't have enough money yet. The house was so cheap, but until you start building things up. But I love working with my clients. We get to do so many things together and help people do it. I've got another client. After this, I have to go to a courthouse to see if we won 192 acres raw land acreage, 12 miles from Charlotte. That could be a
Wow.
sweet, sweet deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Bill,
Sounds like it.
where do you want to go from here?
Well, let's see. I really liked what you talked about with power. I
Yes.
definitely think people don't consider enough the power people have over them. And what they give up when they when they join a particular, like a political side or something like that.
It's
And
interesting.
all, but it's really interesting on that. Let's see. Wow, yeah, we did a lot. We've done a lot of chatting in the last
We've been talking for, yes.
Well, it's
for
interesting.
40 minutes.
There is a survey. Guy named William Schutz, Schutz, has a thing called the Fundamental Interpersonal Relations Orientation. And you can take the survey. I used to give it to my students all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it measures your need to control versus your need to be controlled. And you get a score on, are you a control freak where you absolutely have to have control? Or
are you a doormat?
or are you a person who likes to have someone tell you what to do? And it was amazing when people took the survey for them to find out what their control needs were. Light bulbs go off. I didn't realize that, So
Yeah.
everybody's control needs are different, but to have no control of your life is a major, major function. And shooters are, and suicide, people who commit suicide, people who join gangs, and people who get drugs, and people who are alcoholics have control is that one of their major functions, and the other one right next to it is caring. If you were to wake up one morning and realize nobody cared about you, which is what I think happened with who was the gal that Kennedy, the actress,
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe, I think, realized that nobody really cared about her as a person. And, there are people, when you realize that life's not worth living anymore. When it's an awful feeling to know that nobody cares. If you feel that nobody cares about you anyway.
Yeah.
There was just something on the news. I was watching it with my sister-in-law talking about people who have anxiety on Sundays because they have to go back to work on Monday.
Yeah.
And my question for them is, there's so many jobs out there right now. Change your job. Do something. Don't have anxiety. This is my personal belief. We are in control. Everyone has control of their life to make choice A or choice B, or maybe there might be a choice C. But don't just sit there. Let it go. Sorry,
Well, I think a lot of people are missing the support structure to be able to make those choices, though. There's no one out there helping them, even in just an emotional support. Forget about financial support or anything like that. Where people feel that they can make the choice.
Well, the fear of losing control is a big fear. That is a major fear. I've always, felt and told people, I don't care what comes down the pike, I'll deal with it. So self-confidence is a major factor in all human beings. Yeah. And, I've often also said self-confidence can be a major problem too, because if you're so self-confident that you come off as cocky or arrogant, then it works against you. So you don't want to be, you want self-confidence, but not to the point that you're arrogant or come off as too cocky. I tell people, let your light shine. But if it gets too bright, look out, because somebody's going to put it out. Jealousy is one of human nature's worst attributes. Yeah. People who are jealous of others are so dysfunctional. Instead of worrying about their own, they look at other people and they get jealous and they try to put out their light. And I dealt with that all my life as a professor. And, I tell, my daughter, one of my daughters was one of the best teachers in the city where she was teaching. And there were people who were shooting at her because she was getting these accolades. I says, Katie, your light's too bright. Don't get the center stage. The worst thing that can happen to you is be teacher of the year. Because what are the other teachers going to do when you're teacher of the year? Are they going to like you for it? 9 times out of 10, there are going to be a bunch of teachers in that school who are going to hate you, who are going to try to discredit you so you don't become teacher of the year next year.
Right.
Oh, Sally, what do you think about that?
I think that's just so sad. Do
you think that's true?
I do think it's true. I mean, that's one of the reasons I work for myself now. It's just the pettiness that you can happen at work, the pettiness of someone, something happening there. I'm like, just, you talked about happiness earlier. The only way you can be happy is from yourself internally. You can't, other things are not going to make you happy. And it's interesting. I'm in a real estate group and everyone says to me, oh, you're lucky. I'm like, no, I work hard for what I do. I purposely schedule my week so I can go to the courthouse. I purposely have lists and things like this. There's no luck involved. No. So I think there is pettiness out there and jealousy, and it doesn't need to be there. You can change your own life if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I do believe in the concept of doing 1% better every single day, and by the end of the month you're 30% better. What can you do to make yourself better today, and do it.
That's a good goal. I agree with that.
The slight edge. You don't need to be 100% improved by tomorrow.
Unfortunately, there's always going to be something you can improve. Exactly.
Right. But yeah, making a 1% improvement can be done. I mean, that's not difficult. And it actually compounds. It's actually, after 30 days, it's actually going to be more than 30% improved if you've improved 1% every day.
A
Yeah.
ship, let's say a Navy ship, if it's off by 2 degrees when it leaves,
Hmm.
let's say from Spain, coming back to Newport News, Virginia, it could
Hmm.
go either all the way down to Florida or all the way up to Maine. That's just a
Yeah.
2 degree separation. How much of a difference it is, and why can't we
Yeah.
change our lives that way? Just doing 1% better a day.
Yeah.
I think you got it. Even at my age, you have to, 84, you can't quit. You have this 1% business. One of my goals, I'm up to 12 military style push-ups. I'm
Wow,
going
good for
to,
you.
I'm going to,
I'm
I'm going to do 13.
one
I'm going to
Pringle
get
more.
up.
Yes,
I'm
the
going to
joke
get
is
up.
you can't stop
I'm
eating
going
one Pringle. You have to eat them all. So yes.
to get up to 15. That's my goal, is to get back up to 15. So I'm going to
Okay.
work at it. But
Yeah.
if we don't have goals, if
Hmm.
if you don't have a goal, okay, it all goes back.
Dr. Cleet, I think so many people don't have a goal. I think people need whatever your personal goal is. Just have a goal and work to get to it, and then when you accomplish it, you'll feel such accomplishment over it.
I think it was
Hmm.
Mahatma Gandhi who said, "Life with no goal is no life." I think Rick
Hmm.
Warren said that too. Rick Warren was what was that book he wrote? The
The
purpose.
purpose-driven life.
Yeah, the purpose-driven life. If you don't have a goal or a purpose in life, you're
Mhm.
gonna you have no life. You're you're
Yeah.
you're you're on the down you're on the downswing. If you don't have a
Hmm.
purpose, you're on the way down. So
No,
Yeah.
it's true.
For sure.
And it could be anything. It could be any small thing. Saying, you're going to do put 13 push-ups in a day. I- my whole goal is to go to the gym instead of 2 days a week, 3 days a week. So yes, yes.
sure, right. Well, here's to
Hmm.
purpose. Here's to life. Here's to caring about our fellow citizens. Here's to happiness.
Hmm.
Here's to having some control over our lives and letting other people know we care about them. And life will go on, and it'll be good.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. Life can be
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Yep. Let's see. Promotion times. Let's see. Do either of you have websites or whatever that we can plug?
Sure. Mine is West Georgia .edu /
West.
Epsilon, that little thing up in the left-hand corner of the keyboard, C Bulach.
Okay.
That's my website. Or you can just put my name in and on the web, and you'll find it, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put the link up in the description, and so
Okay.
people can find it real easily. And Sally, how about you?
My website is thetrustisYou.com. And I do have a podcast. I just issued my 22nd episode today called
Woohoo!
Stop Paying Capital Gains Now with an exclamation mark. I
Well,
appreciate that, Bill, letting us promote ourselves.
Awesome.
uh,
Yeah.
echo-
No. Absolutely. Yeah. Want people to find out more about you and because we can only go so far in a little show like this.
And it's been an interesting show. It's kind of all over the map, but we got to talk about all kinds of things.
Hmm.
So thank you, Dr. Cleet.
Thank you, Sally. And Bill, thank you.
And Bill,
Oh,
yes.
my pleasure.
Yes.
And yeah, then that's it for today. I'd like to thank my guests, Sally Gimon and Dr. Cleet Bulach. Um, that last name of yours is that's just fun to say. But yeah, check out their websites. Remember to be safe out there and wash your hands and stay tuned for the ending credits. Thank you all for tuning in.
This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank my producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host. I'm very thankful for my special guests, Sally Gimon and Dr. Cleet. Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are offered. Be sure to tune in next time when my special guests will be JF Gerard and Mosquito Steve Moore.
Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people.
If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. That is the suicide and crisis lifeline here in the United States.